Globalization, as we all know, has become a popular phenomenon. From the clothes to the music and the food, it seems like everybody thinks, acts, and look the same. The Nigerian film industry, better known as Nollywood, has not been spared by these trends. Memes, expressions, global popularity, and coverage of the movies. It seems like the country of Fela Kuti is taking over the globalized world. But how can it be observed, and what does it teach us about globalization?
To understand Nigeria, you need to appreciate where it came from.
We obviously all know Hollywood, the absolute reference in California. We are also familiar with Bollywood, the exuberant Indian cinematographic industry implanted in Bombay. Throughout this video, we will discover the power of the second largest global industry ahead of the US in terms of film produced. Nollywood was born in the streets of Lagos thanks to the informal trade of street vendors in the late 1980s. But the industry mainly gained importance in the 90s, when national television was the victim of political tensions, releasing many artists and technicians, some of whom, then unemployed, began producing low-budget independent films. Nollywood is a young industry and uses innovative production and financing methods. The industry has now reached maturity, and large production studios and other production companies have appeared in the Nigerian landscape, which has not always been the case. Even if cinemas were a rarity in Nigeria during this period, the original stories were not lacking. Despite the lack of funds and experience, self-directed filmmakers began using consumer camcorders to film their stories and sell them in VHS tapes. Even if the majority genres are comedies and drama, we can also find various other kinds of movies, from horror to historical movies or romantic and short films. 200 new creations were out each month in 2009, which puts Nigerian film production second in the world in terms of film produced. Since the country counts only a few cinemas, the films are published for the video market. Due to piracy, it is almost impossible to estimate the number of DVDs sold each year in the country. It is mainly in Lagos, economic capital of Nigeria, that the DVDs are sold. The city counts a lot of video stores and market dedicated to this business. The production houses have gathered in the district of Surulere, mimicking the system of major Hollywood studios, production offices, editing rooms, and hardware warehouses. The vast majority of films are shot on video, not film roll, because a lot cheaper. The post-production of the film, editing, mixing, etc. takes place very quickly after shooting to allow a quick release. Nigerian box office revenue grew from $17.3 million to $23.6 million between 2017 and 2018. Today, Nollywood is the country's second largest employer after agriculture and accounts for 2% of the Nigeria's GDP. The Nigerian film industry undoubtedly contributes to job creation in a country whose economy depends mainly on oil and agriculture. More than 1 million people work. Although its revenues are not comparable to those of its Indian and Californian counterparts, Nollywood generates $590 million a year. It is estimated that a better management of this sector would create 1 million more jobs. The World Bank is assisting the Nigerian government to support the entertainment industry and other sectors. Nollywood films are very popular with Africans on the continent and around the world. They made their mark in the digital revolution of the early 1990s, when camcorders replaced 35mm cameras. Most productions are victims of copyright piracy that has long paralyzed the industry, but a good amount of films gained a lot of success in recent years in the box office in the few cinemas of the country. The Wedding Party 1 and 2 of the director Kemi Adetiba have generated more than $2 million in revenue, beating for the first time in the history of the country the scores of American blockbusters. A few years ago, at the Nigerian box office, Nollywood was at 5% behind the big American productions. Today, it is around 30%. It is the higher-end films that are now of interest to foreign producers. For now, they only sell to Netflix. Now that we got the main point and know everything about the creation and emergence of Nollywood, let's dip into what this industry possesses compared to its competitors, its worldwide influence, and how it managed to become the second largest film producer in the world. In order to compare the three movie industries, we have to know that they were all created in different locations, but with the same objective: promote the movie industry of the country and make it known. Hollywood is located in the US, precisely in California, known for its good weather and good lighting thanks to the sun. It has a wide view and a variety of natural scenery, perfect for filmmaking. Bollywood is another name for the popular movie industry based in Mumbai, India. They simply changed the H to a B in reference to the country's movie capital, Bombay. Their movies are also produced directly in the capital or in villages whose rustic architectures and attention to details are a great location for their romantic and dramatic movies, which made them known around the world. For Nollywood, as you have guessed, it refers to the Nigerian film industry. It was proposed in reference to the N of Nigeria, or as locals call the country, Niger. For the content, Nollywood movies cover all social strata and usually tell the stories of men, women from different social classes of faith. The films have a very wide audience in Africa, as any African has once recognized themselves in the storylines. And contrary to what people may think, they are actually preferred to the Hollywood ones. The reason why it is the case is the fact that in Eastern films, Africa is almost always associated to poverty, wars, famines, and AIDS, when Nigerians and Africans in general, on the other hand, are drawn to films that celebrate culture and being black. The films cover all aspects of society, focusing on love, wealth of the poor, and corruption, basically what happens in their real lives. In order to satisfy the African characteristics of multi-tribe and multi-language, Nollywood also delves into traditional legends and anecdotes of each tribe. And to ensure that every movie can be understood by everyone, they make them in the dialects, usually Yoruba or Igbo, then put the captions in English, and with no translation in French, which does not seem to be a problem as they are as popular in Francophone countries. On average, the production of a film takes a week, and the budget is between 7,000 and 12,000 euros. For comparison, a Hollywood film costs an average of 60 million euros for a production period of 1 year. The reason the cost is so low is that a lot of the films are not made by traditional studios, but with home cameras in random places. The means of dissemination is recording the films on videotape, VCD or DVD, and sending them to the open-air markets for sale. But the quality of image, as you may have guessed, is most of the time not as good as the two other ones. Audio sometimes off or not in sync with the characters, cascade scenes not realistic, or even bad acting. Hollywood is more known for science fiction, special effects, war, mafias, and romantic fantasy movies. They have a strong capital to shoot excellent production of all kinds of films, and this production can take up to 1 year of filming compared to 1 week in Nollywood. They are always available in cinemas first, then streaming platforms like Netflix, and finally DVDs. They are also available in different qualities and resolutions like HD and 3D. Compared to Nigerian movies, they have more coverage, as in their budget is included advertising of the movies all over the world, as well as press releases. But American heroism is starting to become boring. For Bollywood movies, they usually are musical and almost always follow the same storyline: a love triangle, comedy, and daredevil thrillers mixed in a 3-hour movie with lavish performances and intermission. It seems to be the only way to get an audience in the country, and now with globalization, this style is their signature. When it comes to its movies, globalization has contributed to the popularity of the industry. According to Serge Nukwe, director of the Nollywood Week, The industry produces between 1,500 and 2,000 movies every year, whose quality keeps evolving with the quality content of the storylines. Bollywood used to be the main influence of the Nigerian cinema, with themes like love, revenge, and betrayal. But as the years went by, Hollywood-like movies became the objectives while keeping the producing style and culture of the country. The films are often lower budget productions that are released directly to DVD and sometimes not even filmed in studios. But the Nigerian film industry has such an influence regionally that the neighboring countries are afraid of a Nigerianization's effect on their movie style. Its impact can also be observed on Hollywood. This evolution made of it the reference in the African film world, soon in the film world as a whole. Nollywood is slowly making its mark, especially thanks to Netflix. Let's take as an example the movie Chief Daddy. In December 2018, a famous studio in Lagos named Ebony Life Film premiered the named movie, which is about a crazily rich and eccentric Nigerian billionaire who dies suddenly, creating drama among his relatives over his estate. The movie, by the end of the month, had emerged as the country's most popular theatrical scene of the year. Had this movie been released some 4 or 5 years ago, its popularity would have ended 2 to 4 months after its release. Its producers would have watched with frustration the work being pirated, copied, and released in DVDs or streamed on YouTube, cutting the profits and making it difficult to produce future films. But in 2019, the production house sold the movie's global streaming rights to Netflix, making it available in March to 149 million of customers in 190 countries. For Mo Abudu, the Chief Executive Officer of Ebony Life, this is an opportunity to introduce Nigerian films to a much broader market on both sides of the Atlantic, and a good opportunity for more capital to be pumped into Nollywood. This is not the only movie that caught the eye of Netflix. Last September, Netflix acquired its first original film from Nollywood named Lionheart, a drama about a woman who steps into the male-dominated transportation industry when her father falls ill. In addition to these 2 blockbusters, a wide selection of quality content straight from Nollywood can be observed on the application. Movies like The Wedding Party 1 and 2, King of Boys, or more recently, Bling Lagosians, which were all acclaimed by critics and whose tickets were sold out in African cinemas and even out of Africa thanks to the diaspora, can be watched. This increasing visibility helped Nollywood producers, filmmakers, and executives to travel to France for the Cannes Films Festival first Pavillon Afrique, which is a series of sessions and screening highlighting the opportunities and challenges faced by filmmakers across Africa. We can't talk about the impact of a trend or a situation on globalization without talking about social media. For the past years, anything different, funny, or original was turned into a trend, expression, or a meme on social media. A meme is an image, video, piece of text, typically humorous in nature, that is copied and spread rapidly by internet users, often with slight variations. Some of them never get old, like the meme of the distracted boyfriend that made the buzz during summer 2017. It is all about Nollywood, where some of the most hilarious memes are coming from. Though most of the actors used to make them are not well known outside of Nigeria, their faces can be recognized now all over the cyber world. It is, for example, the case of Osita Iheme and Chinedu Ikedieze, whose acting skills and best movies turned into the go-to. They have been used, for example, by Fenty Beauty, the cosmetic brand, or fans of the NBA. Most of these scenes come from movies made in the 2000s, who are now seeing their views on streaming platforms skyrocketing thanks to the internet, thanks to the interest created by them. They became so popular that memes pages dedicated to Nollywood, like Nollywood Troll on Twitter, created by a Brazilian woman named Nicole, see the number of followers increase every day. But what does this teach us about globalization? Globalization is a mix of opportunities on the financial side. By collaborating or investing in each other's market, each industry sees an opportunity to protect itself. This is, for example, what Hollywood did with Bollywood by investing in the early ages. And when recession happened in 2008, they received loans from Bollywood. When it comes to culture, it is the most affected. In many countries, the government has posted quotas or imposed tariffs on foreign films to limit their dominance domestically. These laws are driven by the competition American films provide because in almost every domestic market worldwide, Hollywood movies have a larger share than the domestic industry. Also, movies are considered cultural pillars as they either depict the reality of the locals or what they would want it to be. And in order to attract more foreign viewers, Hollywood movies have simplified storylines and include more actors. To have a bigger audience, Hollywood has to be more diverse with different storylines. Throughout the years, globalization brought a fear of Americanization, influencing populations to think and act American. But now, as times are changing, where people start to claim and embrace more and more the culture, to be competitive, the film industry has to be more global. Moreover, this situation made the local film industries step up their game and promote the local life in a more modern way, mixing the culture and the Hollywood culture. We can now say that globalization is not dying but evolving, not only in an economic way, but into a common village where everyone accepts and embraces their differences, take advantage, inspiration, and learn from each other.
Another story.